Everybody, welcome back to the How to Podcast series, and I love when I meet a fellow podcaster, admire their show, listen to what they do, and then I get a chance to have them on the show. It's like full circle moment. Elijah's here, and we're going to talk about his podcast journey, kind of some doors that have opened for him because of a podcast, which is kind of cool, and just share some common podcasting conversations to help you as a podcaster to navigate this new and complex world of AI and YouTube and video and on and on and on and on. Elijah's here. Elijah, welcome to How to Podcast series. My guest co-host. It's great to have you on my screen.
It's fantastic. We'll dive into the maple syrup, the back bacon, and all the things that bring us to the world of, John Candy and SCTV. So it's nice that Canadians are taking over in podcasting, Dave.
There you go. Thanks for that. We're taking over the world one story at a time. It's great. So you're in Canada. You're in Ontario. Also where I am. We're a little ways from each other. Tell everybody where you are.
I'm in... nobody really knows, but it's in beach country, and all tourist towns share a great lake, Lake Huron, with Michigan. About, I guess, if you go from Toronto, Canada, go west until you hit Lake Huron. Pardon me, it goes west till you hit the lake. I'm right in the middle of that. So, lots of great weather. It's not too humid in the summer, but in the winter, 10-foot snowdrifts are challenging. But it's a nice excuse to just put your feet back and listen to podcasts. It's not so bad.
There you go. Excellent. How did your podcast journey start, Elijah?
I was an only child growing up in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, theater town. So it was all Shakespeare, pretty boring for a kid. And it was a lot of older people, a lot of retirees. So not a lot of kids, in small rural towns, like sports, and I didn't. So it was left to the bedroom, the tape deck, the microphone, and looking out the window and starting radio stories and kind of figuring out if I was bored for my VIC-20 with a tape deck. I'm aging myself, but here we are. And just make up stories and that only child syndrome where you're not really told that you're not allowed to, or your opinion's never invalid. So that kind of got me talking. And then fast forward a bunch of years to figure out what I was doing. And I went to Toronto college school, radio, Humber College, pardon me. Nice. That was early 2000s. Got that in there. It was, my parents didn't understand what computer certificates were. It was computers or radio. Radio was a real college program. And I liked the talking thing. It was fun. Found I didn't really do well at the co-op. It was mid-market and in radio, and kind of just, I made a few minor mistakes. They're like, no patience, right? It's a money game. So I decided to have kids early in life, went to TD Bank for corporate, learned public speaking and all that sort of stuff there for about 16 years. Still did family and friends and podcasting on the side and all that fun stuff. And then eventually last year, 2024, I was packaged out with a severance. It was like, we're cutting costs. Sorry about your luck. And then I decided, you know what? There's no time like the present. Let's get into this thing that keeps coming back, helping each other with their podcasts and kind of iterating and growing in that space as a creative entrepreneur. So here we are.
How many different shows have you hosted over the period you've been in podcasting?
I don't know, probably 10, including internet radios. Before Spotify and Yahoo Music, we did an internet radio station. Mom still has the newspaper clipping from the local paper. And
there you go.
At that, and it was music podcasts, or, there was one we called Nerdy by Nature, which was kind of funny because it's like Naughty by Nature for the 80s hip hop. Yeah. And it was just basically a university degree of stuff that was just wild and crazy, and just getting into real nerdy stuff. And I think we were hitting somewhere around 3,000 listens a month, which was cool. Wow. I don't know if it was bots or not, but I took the number and ran with it. But surprisingly enough, a lot of Asian communities listening in because I guess they're smarter than me and really like that interesting stuff. And just came to where we were doing 2 a week. I started to burn out. A friend had some kids, so he had to bounce. And then another friend got a manager job somewhere, and he said, I can't keep this up. So we kind of disbanded and went from it. But one I did, a music podcast, was I called it My Own Spin or something cheesy like that, because I really loved Alan Cross. If you're Canadian, you probably know him.
Yeah.
But the funny part was that I could be a nobody, reach out to any Canadian label, even in the States, indie labels, and they'll send me stuff. Back then it was CDs and some PR press, and they just said, here you go, you can play it on your podcast, have fun. So I got all this free stuff, like stacks of CDs and press material, and I was like, in my mid-20s. I was living the dream. So stuff like that I did was pretty cool. Not to bore you with all of them, but that was some of them anyway.
And then you had some podcasts about podcasting as well.
Yeah, there was. I started as an entrepreneur. I figured it'd be good to start something. Too legit to podcast. You're seeing that hip hop theme. Just do a monthly thing, and on LinkedIn they have newsletters, and that's a kind of a nice way for take advantage of the social media platform that wants you sucked in. So they'll just push it out for you. And then there was Let's Start a Podcast was a year and a half ago. I did about 2 seasons worth just to kind of give a primer to people and figure out how to do the thing, like IP lawyers and business people and podcasters and even a voice talent. He's doing really well now. So just kind of get into the thick of things, kind of take everything in a circle and look on the outside. Okay, what's required and how do you step people through the process? So
cool.
There's a couple things, but here we are.
There you go. Lots for everyone to fall in love with and listen to. And it's evergreen. It's still got great value, even, later on in the future, which I love about podcasting.
Especially if they're asking us questions as professionals. How do you do this? Oh, have a link. See you later. Call me in a half hour when you're done listening and see if you still have questions. Kind of nice.
Right. Yeah. It's that business card that keeps serving you up your content all the time. I like it.
Right.
It's good. Things are changing in podcasting.
Yeah.
Curious to kind of get your thoughts about kind of what's new and sexy in podcasting and kind of get some reaction from you. Talking to a lot of people, hearing a lot of stuff on podcasts about podcasting.
Yeah.
Some camps being formed and some division amongst our ranks around video, audio, the mix of both, the separation of both. Kind of what is your initial thoughts on where we are today and kind of maybe where we're heading?
The one thing that I'll stand on my soapbox and scream about, get off my lawn about, is that people like to just slap a podcast on the video. I'm going to take long form audio and slap it onto YouTube, and then they decide to cry because nobody's listening or watching. I'm not Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn or whoever. They already have a celebrity behind them in a community, and they're going, that's one thing that drives me bonkers is for people who try, they mean well, but they don't understand the different medium types, and they don't understand, well, I'm still trying to figure it out. They don't really get the difference between the audience that's, multitasking, doing their dog walks or whatever in their yoga pants, listen to podcasts on Spotify or Apple. And then they get the YouTubers who are mistakenly not Gen Z or alphas. They're boomer audience, millennials that are watching this as their fix for cable broadcast and video on demand. So it should just trying to shove that into TV form and go, this works well because we're talking and it's over audio, and you can have a bit of a slower pace of conversation, a few breaths here and there because they're working and doing stuff. But every second counts on that TV because that's all you're doing. So every time somebody pauses or it's uninteresting, and this whole attention-seeking generation that we're in myself guilty. You see something that's it's like you're spoiled content-wise because there's all these creators who are stepping up and stepping up and stepping up, and people aren't really getting it. And then they go, "I'm going to throw it out. I'm burning out. I can't." So for people to do that and then spread thin is kind of nuts. Where I would love to see is if you're going to have long form, keep it in audio. And if you're going to, especially starting out, and then just do clips or little chunks and, okay, what are people searching for? Well, just hit on that because that's what YouTube is. It's just like a question. It's like Reddit. I just come there for an answer and I'm out. And I don't want this long drawn crap about this thing about how you farted and pick your nose for half an hour. I just want the thing. Because, some people are different with their communication style. Don't knock it, but a lot of people are pretty loose, right? So they don't know. They only know what they know. So that's my biggest, Dave, is stop just throwing things all over the place and then like spray and play. Have some sort of reason behind putting the thing in a place. I don't know.
Right. Understanding how that platform is designed.
Yeah.
Right. And what their intent is for the platform, and not trying to shoehorn your content and trying to get the platform to adjust to you. They're never going to change to you. They're going to want you to use their platform and their way of serving up content. Right?
Have you ever tried to put a picture up on an audio and then put it on YouTube and go, I had 10 views. That's fun. That's good enough, right? I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe it works, but is it worth it? All that effort to do the thing and put it up and do descriptions and all this nonsense just to get 10 views, just because you're just slapping up there because whatever. I don't care. I don't know.
Yeah, it's when it's a YouTube strategy. Do you have a YouTube strategy for your podcast? Yes or no? For one of my shows, it's Living the Next Chapter. It's an author podcast.
Sure.
And my problem is I have more content than I'm allowed to upload every month, even at 3 times a week. I am right now, if I walked away from my show, you wouldn't know until probably mid-October, maybe early November. That's when all my episodes would run out. They're all done. They're loaded into my hosting site. I'm in Buzzsprout for that show. I could walk away. So if I interview somebody today, they're not going to see their episode for 3 months. So what I do is I leverage YouTube and I get it up onto YouTube within a few days of recording so my guest has access. The recency of it, they're going to be more likely to share it if it's more recent than 3 months from now. So I get it up through that way. And in that podcast, because I have 9 shows, I can't devote all my attention to one podcast. I'm spread really thin here. I do leverage the audio version on YouTube. And even that, I just treat it like a Google Drive. I have no YouTube strategy. I have no desire to make money. I'm not trying to grow a channel. None of that stuff. It's only for a Google Drive that everyone has access to, especially my guest. And my listeners, if they want to hear what I'm doing in real time, they can see what I did today. I have 2,000 watch hours for a non-video podcast on YouTube. And that's not my intent. I'm not even trying to grow that. It's more a service to my guest than anything else. So I really don't have a YouTube strategy for that show.
I wonder if that means the people that are finding you use YouTube as the audio podcast. They have it on, but they just listen to it. Maybe.
The one thing I think people forget about is that YouTube Music, as good of a player as it is, you can fill in the blanks there for your own opinion on that one.
Fair.
I don't personally use it, but they use an audio version for YouTube Music on their app. So you can't get on YouTube Music without an audio version of your podcast. So it's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to be on that platform, well, I'm not really using it as a user, but you got to be audio to even get on that platform. So something to consider.
I kind of like that Spotify is, as much as people just want to poo-poo on them because they're just doing their thing and not caring, they do the video and audio. So it's kind of an interesting play for traditionally an audio podcast distribution platform is coming up with both options, which is kind of nice. And then you'll just listen to whatever. But I know that's another play that more industry professionals that are trying to push the podcast movement forward are trying to figure out how do we get video into the RSS feed or something close or a version of it, which would be kind of neat. Then it's just kind of there. And then that has a big opportunity for YouTube. And I don't know if you'll be able to catch up to that behemoth, but at least it's somebody else playing in that space.
Yeah. If you were to start a brand new show today, Elijah, would you start with audio and video, audio only? What would be your preference if you started a brand new, net new show?
I did audio, and I just put up video because I'm recording in video anyway, and I do okay at the editing stuff, so I put that in Spotify. If I did it again, intentionally, trying to just put some meat and potatoes behind it, I would do audio. I've always been in that audio producer mode for 20 years. So for me to bang out a commercial sounding trailer with some, it almost sounds like it's more of a audiobook. And that's where I lean into, just for the flow and everything. It seems just more efficient, and I just like listening to it better. So it's just my preference.
Yeah, I'm an audio first person. I'm always either listening at work or listening in the car. I'm doing something else. I'm preoccupied by a task or whatever. So I can't be staring at my screen and be zipping down the 401. That's not a good idea. So, you get pulled over for stuff like that.
I find myself, because my car still has a radio, I listen to, the public broadcaster in Canada, CBC. Sometimes it's, comedy, sometimes it's something else, but even the talk radio, I've always been kind of interested. Sometimes it's not as great, but there's an appetite for broadcasters to be more entertaining because obviously there's their money involved, right? They want to keep listeners. So sometimes they'll try a little harder. Sometimes it's awful. And sometimes you get the people that are retired, nothing better to do. They call in and just whine about stuff. And sometimes for a little bit, that's kind of fun. So it's kind of interesting that seems to be the version of podcasting that's coming, this talk radio or these just entertainment vehicle that's taking over. And then where podcast goes from there, I don't know.
Do you think video is a distraction to audio podcasts?
I don't love that Rogan and others have taken this video podcast terminology and entered it into mainstream. I will call it that because I've given up. But as a truist of audio and radio, it drives me insane. It's not a video podcast. It's just a video. Just
Right.
content as a video to put up on YouTube. And whatever you want to call a conversation or whatever, because people in society have to understand from marketing speak, fine. Just like Steve Jobs did with the cloud. Still drives me nuts. The remote computers, it's a cloud. It's somewhere in heaven. I don't know. But that stuff I'll get a little worked up about. I don't like them being called the same because they're not. And that gives people the impression that, like false hope, they should be the same and have the same output and same outcome. That's not fair to them starting out.
Yeah. There's a measurement problem there. There's what counts as a view, what counts as a listen. Those two numbers don't match. How do you give a good number to a sponsor if that's something you want to do?
Sure.
Right. You're kind of having to navigate all this different terminology, and it doesn't all mesh together in a cohesive result that you can say, I have X number of audience size or whatever, because it's all these different fragmented pieces. And you're trying to put them all together and say, here, look at my audience. Right.
It's kind of helpful because you have traditional radio advertising metrics like cost per million and all that stuff that you kind of get into. But YouTube is a whole different beast because you have such detailed level of analytics and demographics and things like that. So I'm curious if traditional marketers and advertisers will actually allow audio podcasts to come into that space and advertise, because they might be confused. They might go, I don't understand why this audio thing is on the YouTube and still want to advertise or put money behind it, because they may fear that their audience would be confused. I'm curious if they would be open enough to accepting. I guess if it's big enough, who cares? But would it be a thing, or am I overthinking this? I don't know.
Yeah. And I guess, too, like the whole idea that I kind of wrestle with is when somebody says, hey, Elijah, I want to start a podcast. What kind of camera do I need? I'm like, well, wait a minute. Okay. Or what type of mic do I need? Well, first of all, what are you going to talk about on your show? Like, have you thought about the content? Like, what is the reason why you want to even start this? You know, I kind of feel like in some cases we kind of get backwards a little bit on the tech side before we get to the content side. Yeah. So that's kind of one of the things I try to encourage people is nail down, like, what is the reason you even want to do this in the first place?
Have the content and then the audio. Lock that in, and then the video last. Like if it's at I don't know, we used to use CRTs because we're of that age, but that was what, I don't know, Nintendo was 480p, which was like a 10% of what it is now at 4K. But there's been so many scientific studies, if you believe them or not, that people will tolerate the poor video, but they won't tolerate the poor audio. So if it's interesting, engaging, it's entertaining, and it sounds great, and you look a little pixelated, it's kind of fuzzy, whatever. But if you flip it around where I can't understand what you're saying, not because of a dialect or anything like that, because you keep chopping out or the stream or whatever is gone, they're bouncing out. So definitely want to think about content, because if you're boring, I don't think Dave's listening. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah. And then the other thing too is like, it's interesting because I've heard people say to me, they're like, well, I had feedback from a listener of my podcast, is how they framed it. They said they got my stuff on TikTok. It was like a 10-second clip of my show. And when I reached out to them and said, oh, thanks for listening to my show, how'd you find me? Oh, I watched your clips on TikTok. They're like, have you ever listened to my show? They're like, no, I just get the 10-second clips on TikTok. They're like, you have a show? Like, it's like, what? Oh. You actually have a podcast? And I'm like, how much reactive are we to that they're not coming to the main body of what we do, but they consider a 10-second clip on TikTok to be our podcast? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? It's still, they're connecting with us at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. It's not everything that we do, but it's catching their attention. So is that horrible? I don't know.
It's kind of like would get into print and newsletters and writing. It's almost like you're listening to or watching or reading the headline of the newspaper article, and that's enough for you. I get the idea. I see the picture, I see the headline, and I'm going to keep going to the next page. And for some people, that's it. They're just using their thumb all day and kind of just passing the time, and that's neat. But it's really feels like a one-night stand, if I may, compared to somebody getting married for 25 years, because it's just a quick little dopamine hit and off they go. So for that moment in time in the present, it's great because people are listening. You get 1 million views, but if you're not converting that into anything to get at least recoup your costs back, or at least in time and interest, and somebody showing up to make this time worth anything, is, to me, it feels like a bit of a waste. It's like, why put, and that comes to the whole shorts game, that vertical video. It's Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. That's a whole different ecosystem altogether, a rabbit hole that you probably don't want to go on. But yeah, I don't know. Do you like the 10-second thing? Do you think any attention is better than not? Or do you want at least people to experience at least 10 minutes of something you put together to make it worth your while?
I wonder if it's something it can be built on. Like if that is the introductory to what you do, and people can come to you in a different format and stick with you longer, then there's an upside to it. But I wonder if we're just designing content in 10-second sound clips. And I'm like, well, is that really what I wanted my show to be? I guess it goes back to the intent and why you're starting your show in the first place.
Sure.
If you're trying to go viral, then that's a good strategy. But if you were looking for long-term community growth with people that know, like, and trust you and build community around what you do, then maybe these 10-second clips aren't going to build the same depth of community in the long term. I'm wrestling with it as well.
And then it's trying to catch up with all the trends on the video. Do you put words up here? Do you put a picture? Do you put a poop emoji? Whatever it is with the captions that people are doing. Again, another hill I'll die on, but I digress. And then it's a marketing game, and then it's search engine optimization. All this stuff that now podcasters are suddenly immersed in, either by accident or on purpose. And then you have to treat it like a business if you want anything out of it, at least to recoup the cost. If you don't, that's fine, but at least I think most people do it to get some sort of attention. Somebody, one person beyond their mom is listening, and that'd be nice. So whether it's an attention game or it's a money game, you're now tasked with all these things that are way beyond just talking to somebody for an hour. It's kind of overwhelming.
It's kind of like you start a show, and you're like, I just want to record a podcast.
Just want to talk, sure.
Let's just start. And then somebody comes along and goes, Elijah, I see that you're starting a podcast. I just want to say, you also need to do this. And then someone else walks up, and you need to do this. And you do. It becomes like when you go grocery shopping and you arrive back at your house and you try to bring everything in one trip. You just got all of these bags hanging all over you.
That's a Costco.
Struggle the way, right? Yeah, a Costco thing. As you struggle your way through the front door and all your neighbors laugh at you, oranges are rolling everywhere, right? That's what I find as podcasters. It's just like, just one more thing. One more thing to add to being a podcaster.
And you have everybody, even indie podcasters are all experts because they've been there for 2 days and they know everything. And then you get on Facebook and Reddit and all these places, and there's a laundry list of, my opinion is the best and you should do this. And it's just a constant, then it's just attention seeking. Look at me. I'm right. Look, for my ego. It feels like sometimes some people are genuine. They're great, but others are just kind of in there like, I need to be the most important thing on the planet in this space. And then you get more confused. And then you go to Costco every day and you cry because you're bankrupt in that analogy.
If you want to try this as a listener, go into a Facebook group and go, what is the best microphone? And just leave that post there and watch the seagulls come for you. And then mine. Right.
And then the pitchforks and torches come out when I say don't do USB mics, because that's just my thing. Like I just being on the other end and having to edit stuff, I go, they're fine, but then the amount of work you have to put into, if you want quality, if you want it to be, at that commercial level, no. If you don't care, whatever. But there's that thing too. And then everybody comes out like, you don't know what you're talking about. I hate you. I have this thing I spent money on. I don't want to regret it, so I'm going to put you down. All that fun stuff. And once a quarter, I go in just to kind of it shouldn't, but you kind of put that seed in there. And watch and get your popcorn and see what happens. And that's my amusement, unfortunately. But here we are.
Recreational outrage around podcasting. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
I like it.
It is kind of interesting because there's a whole bunch of opinions. There's a lot of things going on, and then just trying to figure out what to do, what kind of style the podcast should be is another thing. Do I do a panel? Do I do a solo? Do I talk at myself, or do I have a dog just barking? Or do I do something that's ASMR trend that's picked up? I'm so old, I don't understand this ASMR. Why do you want to breathe and cut a cucumber in a microphone? Hey, it's an audience, right? Yeah. Here we are. Trying to figure it out. But to their credit, they found their audience. They figured it all out. Okay, people want to hear me whisper or read a book or whatever, and they're there for that. I don't know. It's too much. But if people can figure out, Dave, what they're going to do and then stick to it and then not listen to all the noise, and maybe if you need somebody like Dave to kind of help you out, then great. You just kind of jump in your ear once in a while just to kind of steer you in the right direction. Not to tell you what to do, but just kind of ask some questions and kind of make sure you think of everything. I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, got to be careful.
The reason why I wanted to do this show is I wanted people to come on and have different opinions around podcasting. The one thing I've noticed in podcasts about podcasting, and you can weigh in on this if you wish, is it seems like sometimes it's one opinion, and if you don't agree with that specific opinion, there's no room for you in podcasting. Whether it's, let's just do video audio, for example. We'll have gurus who say you have to do video. We have gurus that say never do video. We have people who argue against each other. And as a new person coming into the space, you're like, can mom and dad just stop arguing? I want to know how to start, right? And I wanted to create an atmosphere where if I do things differently than you do, Elijah, then maybe somebody's going to resonate with you and your approach over maybe how I do it. And that makes it all better because there's different points of view. You come into this space with a totally different background than I do.
Yeah.
So you're going to see things through your lens, which I don't have that lens, which makes your input so valuable because somebody's listening to me going, don't really agree with Dave on that one. Sure. But here comes Elijah going, hey, this is how I do it. And they're like, oh, that's the voice. That's the person, right?
You may appeal to people starting out more because you have more of a open mindset. Not to say that I don't, but I come with a commercial focus first, right? Exactly. So I come into this polished, and if it sounds like it's not amazing, from a selfish standpoint as a professional, do I want to put my name associated and behind this to give that portfolio or that ideal customer I'm trying to chase a run for the money? Or do you want to sound overly polished because you have a certain kind of, maybe it's more of a startup or a relax brand or some, I don't know, coaches or something, who knows, right? So that even that polar opposite view, maybe you do like commercial sounds because you have decent mic and you have all the stuff you're supposed to do, right? Yeah. You sound great. Even if it is USB and you can kind of say, I told you so, whatever. We just have our own things because I grew up with interfaces and this XLR stuff, just like comedians do on stage. They have the same kind of microphones. I don't know what the answer is, but all of our experiences, environment kind of evolved this opinion. Whether or not we listen to people or not, I guess that's our choice.
Right. Do you think AI is coming to take us away as podcasters? Are we almost extinct dinosaurs here, us audio guys here in podcasting?
On the surface, yes. It's Terminator 2. It's pure chaos. Mm-hmm. But beneath the surface, at the end of the day, all AI is predicts the next word, essentially.
Right.
And that's all it's done. There's an algorithm to say, let's see if we can figure out what the next word is, and that's why it's wrong half the time. But it regurgitates what's already available. And it doesn't have any critical thinking, maybe more than a 5-year-old, to think for itself, unless you are very explicit on how to think. So from a human mind, we have creative ideas first. We put them on the internet, and AI scrapes them and steals them from us, and off we go.
Right.
So if you're trying to be lazy, I guess you should say, or not invest the time and the creativity to stand out and be different, AI is going to take over. Because if you're going to be just good enough or just put the bare minimum out there, then everybody's coming for you. But if you're standing out and finding something different and coming up with new ideas constantly, you got one up on AI.
Okay, agree or disagree to this statement, Elijah?
Sure. This is fun.
Here you go. AI is not coming to take your job, but people who use AI are coming to take your job. Agree, disagree?
There's places like Descript. That's a great tool. There's Riverside. That's a great tool. They are like all-in-one platforms, I guess you could say, that are web-based. That they will use AI to help you edit or come up with different clips or words or transcripts and all that. There's a time and place. I don't think that there's going to be people who are going to take a shortcut regardless. They don't have the budget and they don't have the means. They just want to get out there, do the thing, and for $30-$40 a month, perfect. It's good enough. I wouldn't say it's great, but it'll get the job done to the point where it's better than what you could do without investing in 2, 3, 5 years of time to figure out the craft.
Right.
Otherwise, if you want to level up and play with the top 1%, no, I wouldn't put my life on it to trust. If you're going to get up to that point where you want to make 6 figures on your podcast, say if you're shooting for the moon, I wouldn't trust the tool that's good enough to do the thing. I would hire somebody just to do it, come up with some creative ideas, and then it's done. And you can also help feed somebody's family, right? That's a nice benefit. But so I guess it's 2 parts: yes and no, maybe.
Because I don't see those big go-to shows that are always in the top 10 every week using some of these tools that are frequent for more independent podcasters who are like a team of 1 or team of 2.
Right.
They're leveraging these tools. I don't see the big guys, the big shows using that exact same tool.
Especially when I look at, even briefly, Mr. Beast is massive in YouTube. He says he spends thousands, tens of thousands of dollars going through hundreds of different thumbnails. They're just doing A/B tests all day long, figuring out what works to get this micro improvements to get to the next level. That's insanity to me, to have that kind of finite detail and obsession over the craft. And you're not going to do that with AI who doesn't think for itself. It just regurgitates. You need people that think of ideas and have experience and come together and go, oh, what if we had $1 bazillion, we could do anything? Because for Mr. Beast, it's just time and money.
Right.
Give it a shot.
The one thing I'm kind of curious about is, when does AI, like a snake, start to eat its own tail?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like the result comes out from AI. AI then scrapes the AI result and then serves it up again. Like, when does the snake eat itself?
Interesting that you brought that up, because someone in business reminded me that most of AI is funded by venture capital. So there's no public profitability for these models. Like, people are paying per month. They're doing that, but not enough to pay for the thing. It's all funded by people and private investors or public investors just feeding the machine. Imagine the automotive industry, because that's huge for Ontario.
Right.
If venture capitalists are just shoving money, or I don't know if it was the government, just kind of bailouts all day long, it's not going to be sustainable. So especially with people freaking out about how environmentally unfriendly it is, and how people are trying to just, at the top end, at the ivory towers, if you will, the CEOs are saying, let's just remove everybody, put in AI. It's a hot mess. And then we kind of replace it with humans again. I'm just waiting for it to be going too far in 3 to 5 years. And either it's going to get really good and we're going to surpass that, and it's going to have some profitability, and people are going to be patient, or we're going to get in between state where it's just going to flop and people are laughing at it. And I'm just kind of watching back. I'll use the tools to help me do the research and stay focused. But other than that, I'm kind of curious how far it'll go before people just revert and do a 180. That's what I'm waiting for.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Kind of that plane that's going up, and all of a sudden it kind of just stops.
I think it's a lot of the older generations who are leaders and want to save a buck. Where I talk to my kids who are, teenagers, one's 19. They'll use AI to do things to get out of doing the work. But other than that, they're doing the work, or they're living by experiences and want to enjoy the world and connect with people because they're on their phones all the time. They don't want to be on their phone doing ChatGPT or Gemini. They want to actually go out and have some drinks or do whatever they do. Go to the canyon and drive around in a bus or something. I don't know. But so that's what I'm waiting for. When the Gen Z and Alphas get into the jobs and start being managers, will AI still be around? to experience because they're on their computer enough. They don't want to do that anymore. They're sick of it. They want to just get rid of it and just do the people thing. That's my opinion. I don't know if it's true, but that's kind of what I'm starting to see.
Kind of a big reset button.
Yeah.
Going to happen.
Happens a lot if we go too far with it. People just kind of flip. Now people are growing their own stuff in their backyard. They're sick of all the box food.
Yeah.
It used to be in the 60s. It was all fast food.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Will it be quick? I don't know, but it feels like people are already kind of sick of AI. So it's interesting how people are kind of adapting and figuring out.
2 questions I get quite often, Elijah, is how do I grow my show and how do I make money with my podcast? You want to tackle one of those 2?
How do you grow? The problem for many people is that they don't realize that they need some sort of loyal base to start. Yeah. So before even thinking about the content, you have some sort of, I don't know, it's a cohort or a community or some sort of thing that you can get people in the door. And with social media and algorithms being so wonky and crazy, maybe it's just figure out how to get them to a thing. Maybe it's Substack, like what you're doing, or maybe it's an email thing. So you can kind of get them. This is marketing. You're going through a funnel system where you go through the top all the way down to selling stuff. And your selling stuff is the podcast. How do you get them from showing up on the 10-second TikTok into an ecosystem where you can kind of have like a close knit, keep them, by your side, kind of keep them at the back of your mind and maybe reply and have a good conversation, grow those numbers and keep going and then shove the podcast in. From there, it's just, you can do it organically, meaning to just put stuff out there and talk about it, but that's a slog for time. Or you can trade the time and put some money behind it and start learning marketing and figuring that out. For me, I like email lists. I like that sort of thing and social media in a combo. Try and get people in and help people and give them some advice that's free. Don't keep it. Just here you go. Here's stuff that I can lose or do without. And then just, a reciprocation thing. How do you help them? Make them feel a little better and without it being about you. And then how do you make money? You can do affiliate programs. So that's like Amazon. You just tap a link to my shopping thing. Or maybe you can sell ads, or maybe you can sell a service, or maybe you can do something else that you really want to do. Please, for the love of all things holy, don't charge people to be a guest on your podcast.
Thank you.
Because I will figuratively punch you through the nose and face, right through the screen. Because that's not the essence of podcast. Like, that's not what podcast I see is about. It's not that sort of, it's snake oil, I call it. And I don't love that. But so there's a few things I touched on super quick. That's a lot, but a lot of people like us, professionals, we're doing the podcast to, hopefully help people that have a bit of extra cash to spare to help them out, right? Yeah. And that's kind of the play. But you'll find your own, and people go, well, how do you figure out how to charge for an ad and all those things? And a lot of resources are out there, but then you can get, when you have that community, you have a social media following, you have an email list, you have the podcast, and you combine all that to say I have, 1 million impressions or reads or open rates or whatever it is, and all these juicy little drool-worthy tactics that you're using for marketers and advertisers that get excited. Package it up and throw it all together. Here, I'll put you all over the place and charge you $500 a month. Have a nice day. And if you have enough people under you, you built a community, it can work.
Right. I like that.
It's too many ideas.
No,
There's
it's
ways
great.
to make money.
This is it. Yeah. You got to have a community first before you can even go down that path of making money with your show.
I guess even you could charge $5 to have a special feed on Spotify or Apple, right? To Patreon, all those things that you could. You're talking about real-time feeds or getting right out YouTube. Technically, you could charge $5 a month.
Yeah.
Put it on there and let people listen first. Be special or whatever it is. Send them a sticker once in a while. Maybe a T-shirt. And you can charge per month. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways.
What do you have planned for your own personal podcast journey in the future? You got something cooking?
Actually, podcasting turned in a 180 for me. I was working with a marketing agency. They do SEO and digital ads. They're out of head office out of New Orleans, and I was doing some video work, podcast management. And then one day they said, I don't know, we had a conversation and realized you do the thing, the storytelling, the figuring out to the emotional intelligence or whatever it is. And a lot of these digital marketers are very process driven. So here I am now kind of as an invented role, call myself a marketing director. And now I'm leading the creative content, the social medias for them and their clients, and doing their podcast and just hanging out and just trying to understand on a deeper level what their messaging or what they stand for, and just kind of tie into that. I go, I'm not a marketing director, but then I look at all the stuff I do with storytelling and podcasting, I'm like, oh, I guess I am. I just never put any numbers behind it. So not that I'm going away from podcasting, but this is kind of a fun little thing as I'm exploring my creative options as an entrepreneur, kind of heading this direction. And there's people that'll teach me all that SEO stuff that I never really understood. So maybe it'll be something for me too. So that's what's going to happen. Will it last forever, Dave? I don't know, but it's a fun ride while it happens.
Good. You set up a Substack as well?
I did. I'm trouble with that because some people that benefit from that and monetize from that Substack aren't as savory. So it really depends on your moral compass. So I've kind of got caught into that a bit. I overthink things, but I've set up this Substack. I would like to move that into my LinkedIn newsletter because that's where a lot of my business is coming from. Right. And then I have a little page through Card, CARRD, and I have to figure out how to move that over to Your Podcast Sidekick webpage and put a little smaller version, because I feel sometimes, especially me getting to the new gig, I don't always have the luxury and time to write something, or feel like I'm just kind of out of juice. I don't have time. How you do 9 podcasts, Dave, and still do your overnight, like work overnights? First of all, I go to bed like 10, 11 o'clock, and you're just starting work.
I'm pushing in, yeah.
So for everybody, it's different. But yeah, Substack is there, but I'm trying to move it around and just trying to really figure out what the hell I'm going to do. So I haven't had timing on my side to say I have all my stuff together, ready for Dave's episode. But here we are as true podcaster fashion, trying to figure things out and iterate as we go. So
that's good. Where can we send listeners to connect with you and follow the journey?
I'm on LinkedIn. LinkedIn.com/in/Elijah.drown. I'm sure you'll have it somewhere.
Yep.
Substack is just hidden behind a URL for now, yourpodcastsidekick.com. And I plan to move that over to a little site so you can see what's going on. Sometimes I hang out on Threads and in other places, but it's all Your Podcast Sidekick that you can find. And hopefully I'll be there to answer your questions, or I guess you can always reach out through the website contact, and that'll reach my email too. So you don't have to remember that too. So
I say often, everyone needs a podcast sidekick, a podcast buddy. So we have one right here. Elijah, thank you so much for making time to do this. I'd love to have you come back in the future as things develop and continue the conversation. I love your insights.
There's got to be something that we can gossip about. If it's not the terrible wine that Gretzky is apparently making. Allegedly.
There goes my sponsorship's gone. Thanks for that one.
My pleasure. We'll find somebody. Just for that, I'll help you find somebody new. No problem. But right. It'll be a good time. I enjoyed this and really enjoyed the banter back and forth. It's different style. Enjoyed it, Dave. Thank you. Excellent.
Everyone, Elijah, Your Podcast Sidekick. You need one. And definitely go check out him and his journey, and go listen to his shows. A lot of great value. Going to feature him in the Canadian Podcaster magazine coming out in August. So we'll have links there as well. So watch that in the future. We celebrate great Canadian voices. Elijah, thank you so much for doing this.
You got it, Dave. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast all the way through to the end. I love having these great guest co-hosts on the show to share their podcast with you. You have some homework to do. And what I'm asking of you is to go check out our featured guest co-host today. Go over and listen to their podcast. The links are always in the show notes. And I'd love for you to go and give them your love and support. And I think if we can all do that for each other, podcasting will be a lot more fun for all of us. So it's time to do what you've asked others to do for you. It's time to do for this guest co-host. Links in the show notes. Go over and check out their show. And leave them a review, do the follow, go listen to their episodes in full, the entirety of an episode, which again shows to the apps that it's a good podcast because you're going there and you're staying to the end. It's probably one of the best ways you can help a podcaster grow their audience and be shown to more people is by simply going and listening wherever you listen to the very end. like you're doing right now here. This is the perfect way to signal to wherever you're listening on, this is a podcast worth promoting. And all of the apps want you to stay on as long as possible. So go over and listen to our guest co-host episode and leave them some feedback. If they have a buy me a coffee, send them a coffee. If they have a speak pipe, send them a voice message. If they have an email, send them an email. If they're on Instagram, send them a direct message. Do something to support our guest co-hosts. They've given up their time to be here with you, to be here with me, and we can give that back to them with time and attention, our love, our support. Thank you for doing all that for me as well. Here on the How to Podcast series, we'll talk to you soon for our next episode.